Hi there, I'm Judith. I started this channel because I own a little house and I love to talk about it. Today I want to talk about how I financed this little house when I had a very humble income. There were many things that surprised me about the funding process, and I have 7 to list to you today. There are probably 1,000 more, but 7 will do for now. Let me get going. Before I get in too deep, I want to say a couple of things. One is, I am not a financial person. I'm no kind of professional. I don't deal with money on a daily basis. I'm not an accountant, a banker, a mortgage broker, anyone that deals with other people's money. I don't want you to expect that from this channel. The second point I want to make is that I'll be using the term humble income to describe folks in need of affordable housing. I'm deliberately steering away from government figures about things like poverty levels, low income, moderate income, those kinds of things. I'd rather keep our discussion broad brush. And I'd rather not put official labels on anyone's experiences. So for the good of the order, I'm going with humble income. I hope that's protective of people as well. A humble income can mean a whole range of things. That's the point. Finally, so I don't have to interrupt myself once I get in the groove, subscribe. That's a big help to me. And if you'd give me a like, I'm new to this, so I really need encouragement. Thanks for that. As I mentioned, there were a lot of surprises in this process of financing this little house. Everything about it was a surprise, really, including I never imagined myself being in the position to buy a house in the situation I was. There was no comparison between my experience years and years and years ago buying a home when I did back in the day and what I experienced at buying this little house. Everything was different about it. Everything. Here were the surprises. Surprise number 1. My financing was a package, a cluster of sources. I wasn't used to that at all. It used to be, you went to the mortgage broker, you filled out a form, they checked your credit score, and they gave you the keys, kind of. I mean, much like getting a car, except maybe you did it in the title office. Not like that at all. It was a package. And in my case, there were 3 key items. Another person might have 5, 2. But yes, it was a package arrangement. For me, the package included a government department, a regional housing agency, and my state's energy efficiency rebates. Surprise number 2. Key figures in those different agencies and departments interacted with each other on my behalf. It was wonderful. I felt so helped. They communicated with each other several times a week. They communicated with me several times a week. Every time I needed my hand held, they were there for me. It was like the social work of banking. And you know, I was lucky that we all enjoyed each other as well. We were all invested in this project. No less them than me. It really was an extraordinary experience. Surprise number 3. There were more different forms of financing than I had anticipated. There was a whole array of opportunities I didn't even take advantage of. Things like I could get a bounty if I bought a lot with an all mobile home on it and demolished the mobile home. That would have helped me with financing. Another type of financing that I had never encountered before was shared equity. In brief, an organization gives you a down payment, and in return for that, when you sell the house, they get a chunk of the equity. The equity is the amount between the price you bought it and the price you sold it. That's a shared equity program. Then there were financing programs for extended years. And when the terms are extended like that, that means each monthly payment is a lot lower. So that helps out folks on a tight budget. Surprise number 4. Qualifying. This was an eye-opener. Not just because I was shocked that I could qualify to buy a home on a humble income. For me, the qualification actually was quite easy. But here's what surprised me. My income could have been a heck of a lot higher, and I could still have qualified for the kind of help I was seeing out there. So this is my message to folks who see home financing for humble incomes and they assume they won't qualify. You might be surprised. Around here, for some forms of financing, you could make 2, 3, 4 times what I earn in a year, and you'd qualify for it. Surprise number 5. My back in the day experience with getting a mortgage. You fill out a few forms, they check your credit score, there's a bunch of other paperwork, you sign a few pages, and they hand you your keys. This was not like that at all. It was a process that had a lot of safety rails built into it. Now, those safety rails might seem intrusive to someone, but the purpose is to make sure that folks can successfully make their monthly payments through the lifetime of the mortgage. They want you to be a successful home buyer, in other words. I think that's fair, but it did make the process a lot more intrusive than had been my experience. For instance, I had to have a budget. I had to be very clear about my budget. In fact, several people went over the budget with me to make sure everything was in order. I was quite lucky in that regard because for years, since Quicken 1.0, if you can believe it, I had been keeping my finances on the computer. That meant I could track my expenses and click here and there and come out with a nice tidy little budget. If that's not true for you and you're interested in buying a home, that would be a good place to start. There are a lot of free apps out there, and if you start tracking your funds, you can pull them together when you need to in a qualifying process. Another expectation along the lines of safety railing, I had to take a class on real estate terms and concepts. They really wanted you to know what you were getting into. Surprise number 6, there were many technical aspects of my purchase. I bought a lot and I was doing new construction that I would never have been able to evaluate for myself. My mortgage source did those evaluations for me. It was marvelous. I never had to worry about things like some detail that I might have missed, or a feature of construction that I didn't know anything about, and somehow it wasn't in place, or that the contract language was incorrect, or that I'd randomly get ripped off about something or other. I did have an attorney that was essential. She was wonderful too. But it was so helpful to have my funding source looking over my shoulder all the time to make sure I wasn't missing something. The whole process was anxiety-provoking enough, but I was so relieved not to have to worry about those things. They had an engineer look over my plans. They walked in my lot by foot. They inspected the house as it was being built. And as I said, they held my hands every moment. Surprise number 7, it all happened. It was a marvel. Everything came together, some juicy magic from the universe that all of us enjoyed. I wish others could have that experience too. But that's enough for me for now. We'll talk soon, all right? See you then.